What is up, YouTube? I'm Adam, and this is Thumb on the Scale, where we discuss things that have influenced the world in my favor and hopefully take those lessons and influence the world in your favor. So today I wanted to review an article that I came across. It's called Millennials' Interest in Luxury Goods Surpasses Their Funds, and it's from luxurysociety.com. And I just wanted to kind of have a discussion about some of the findings in this article. They had a poll, which you can take that with a grain of salt, but the poll was of 1,000 people, and it had some kind of interesting findings, and I wanted to go ahead and review and have a quick discussion about the difference between something that is an asset that can appreciate and something that is a liability, and kind of review how our choices affect us down the line and over time. So in this article, they randomly polled 1,000 millennials, which is something that hits close to home for me. I am a millennial. I was born in 1990. And they just wanted to kind of gauge, their spending habits of these 1,000 people. And what they found in this study is that a little more than half, 50.2%, had purchased something that they could not afford in the last 6 months. They also found that half, 50%, spend on average $500 per month on luxury goods. So they don't exactly explain what luxury goods are, but to me, those are things that are not necessities, that you don't need, to necessitate life. They are not requirement. They also found that 36% of respondents, so nearly a third, were willing to go into debt in order to purchase luxury goods or have an experience. And 57% were more willing to purchase luxury goods if they could pay over time. So, 2/3 are basically willing to go into debt. After reading this article and kind of reviewing some of those numbers, I think it's just absolutely crazy that we live in a society, my generation is so willing to go into debt based off of influencers and marketing and these targeted ads that are pushing people into debt and basically throwing away their future. So one thing that I wanted to do is go ahead and just review one of those statistics. The one that I found the most outstanding was that half are spending $500 a month on luxury goods. So I wanted to just kind of review that and take a look at the difference between an asset and a liability. So an asset is something that can actually appreciate over time. So buying, a stock, purchasing, any type of investment, saving up money and purchasing a house, something that can actually build wealth. When your money is actually making you money, that is something that's an asset, as opposed to something that's a liability, which is a luxury good, which maybe a luxury good won't completely lose its value, but it's not appreciating in value. So if you buy a Louis Vuitton belt or something, or a Gucci belt or whatever, I don't even know any other luxury brands, but if you purchase something like that, it's not going to gain in value. It may stay the same, it may grow a little bit with inflation, but you are losing money, Or, another luxury good that kind of comes to mind would be something like a luxury car. there's nothing wrong with driving a regular standard car, but purchasing, having a 500, 700, $1,000 car payment on something that depreciates in value and only loses value, that's something that would be a liability. And in my mind, that's what these people are spending their money on, or experiences. You can't sell an experience later. You purchase the money, or you purchase the plane ticket, you purchase your boat ride or whatever. And it seems like, with the influencer class, people are more willing to try and keep up with the Joneses. But the thing is, now the Joneses aren't just the people who live next to you. You're competing with people around the world. You're competing with, actual wealthy people on Instagram who can afford these things, or their parents can afford these things for them. But us lay people are just destroying our chances at a future by taking on these irresponsible actions. So one thing that I want to do, so I think that $500 is the absolute craziest thing. So what I wanted to do is just take a look at, if you chose to invest that money into an asset that appreciates in value. So one of my favorite, investments would be just putting your money into the S&P 500. If history has taught us anything, if we can take that as an indicator for what it will do in the future, it will grow at 10 to 15% over the next forever. But like myself, I plan on retiring in about 35 years. So if instead of purchasing $500 a month of luxury goods, if I just took that $500 and put it into the S&P 500 and let that money compound over the next 30 years to when I'm retired, what future are these people throwing away by indulging in what they want now instead of what they can have in the future? Why, by indulging in something instead of delaying that gratification. So let me go ahead and pull that up. We'll go ahead and go through a compound calculator on my computer, and let's just see what that value is and what that comes out to be. Right, so you can see here that I have, this is just investor.gov, compound interest calculator. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and start with 0. Our monthly contribution, we're going to put in $500 per month. And let's go ahead and just say that it's 30 years. So we're going to do this for the next 30 years, and we'll get at 10% interest. So you can change the compounding frequency. It doesn't make that much of a difference. We'll just say monthly, and then we'll go ahead and calculate that. So in the course of 30 years, if instead of purchasing luxury goods, we just purchased an asset, an appreciating asset, we have $1.13 million. And look, you can see on this graph, they show you what your contribution is, which, that's basically the difference between buying an asset and a liability. And in fact, liabilities that you have to go into debt for, where you're, losing interest, you only put in $180,000 over that 30 years, but it grew, basically 10x, not exactly, but, and that, this is being fairly generous also. It's possible that this grows at 13% over the next 30 years. Over $2 million, $2.186 million. And that's for that same $180,000. So I just kind of wanted to highlight, after reading this article, just how absolutely asinine it is for people to be spending $500 a month on luxury goods. So what lesson has that taught us today? That putting off those little purchases, I mean, $500 isn't a little purchase, but putting off those purchases and looking in the long run, the actual benefit, compounding interest will actually build wealth for us. But we have to be willing to not indulge now. We have to put that off and be willing to accept that we can, that we want something bigger in the future. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me if you made it this far. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you like the information that I put out. I am going to be more consistent and really get this thing going. So thank you so much. I hope you guys have a blessed day or night or whenever. And I'll see you guys next time.